Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. They warned the universe about Earth, but no one listened. The discovery the skis of Proxima Centauri glowed with a peculiar purple hue that had first attracted human explorers to this distant world. Dr. Maya Rivera stood at the entrance of what appeared to be an ancient temple, feeling the cool alien air against her face as she removed her respirator. After 3 years of excavation, her team had finally breached the sealed entrance of the structure that predated any known civilization in the galaxy. Atmosphere readings are stable, Dr. Rivera called out to Thomas, her research assistant. Oxygen levels comparable to Earth, no detectable toxins or pathogens. Maya nodded, taking her first unfiltered breath of air inside a structure that had remained sealed for perhaps millions of years. The Universal Science Foundation had nearly pulled her funding twice, convinced that her theories about an advanced precursor civilization were nothing more than fantasy. Now, she stood on the precipice of vindication. "Start the mapping drones," she instructed, her voice echoing slightly in the cavernous entrance hall. "And tell the team to prepare for preliminary artifact cataloging. I want everything documented before a single grain of dust is disturbed." The temple interior defied conventional architectural understanding. Corridors seemed to bend at impossible angles, yet somehow remained perfectly navigable. Materials shimmered with an inner light that had no discernible power source. Most puzzling of all, the entire structure seemed to be carved from a single piece of material that didn't match any element or compound in the human database. After hours of careful exploration, Maya's team converged on what appeared to be the central chamber. Unlike the rest of the structure, this room was perfectly spherical, with a pedestal in the center holding a crystalline object no larger than a human hand. "Dr. Rivera, you need to see this," called Jensen, the team's xenophysicist. "The energy readings from that crystal are, well, they're impossible." Maya approached the pedestal carefully. The crystal seemed to pulse with a subtle rhythm that almost matched her heartbeat. "It's producing more energy than a fusion reactor, but containing it all perfectly," Jensen continued, his voice betraying his excitement. "Nothing in known physics allows for this kind of energy density without massive radiation or heat." Maya felt drawn to the crystal. Something about its pulsing seemed to call to her specifically. "Have any of the other research teams reported similar findings?" she asked, not taking her eyes off the artifact. "That's the strange part," Thomas replied, checking the interplanetary database. "There are records of similar temples discovered by the Arcturian scientists and the Rigelian explorers, but all research was abandoned, with no explanation given, just abrupt project termination." "Send a preliminary report to USF headquarters," Maya instructed, and requested additional security for the site. "If this is as significant as I think it is, we need to ensure no one interferes with our research." 3 days later, Maya's team had barely scratched the surface of understanding the crystal's properties when the first alien delegation arrived. The Sentinels, as they called themselves, were a species humanity had encountered only in passing diplomatic exchanges. Their crystalline bodies gleamed in the planet's purple light as they approached the human camp. "You must cease your excavation immediately," their translator device stated without preamble. "The technology you have discovered is prohibited by the Galactic Concord." Maya stepped forward. "We weren't informed of any restrictions on archaeological research when we established this colony." The Sentinel's faceted head tilted slightly. "The prohibition predates your species' entry into interstellar affairs. The artifacts you have discovered belong to the precursors, whose technology is deemed too dangerous for exploitation." "We're not exploiting anything," Maya protested. "We're conducting scientific research, trying to understand." "Understanding is the first step toward exploitation," the Sentinel interrupted. "We have observed the rapid technological advancement of humanity. Your species adapts and incorporates new technologies at an unprecedented rate. This makes you particularly unsuited to handle precursor artifacts." Before Maya could argue further, a communication from Earth headquarters arrived. The USF director appeared on the holographic display, his expression grave. "Dr. Rivera, We've received formal diplomatic protests from 7 different alien governments demanding we cease all excavation activities on Proxima Centauri. They're threatening to impose severe trade sanctions if we don't comply. Maya felt her heart sink. Director, we've just begun to understand what we found. This could revolutionize our understanding of the universe, which is exactly what concerns them. The director replied, I'm sorry, Maya, but the diplomatic pressure is too great. You have 48 hours to secure any samples you've already collected and prepare for extraction. The site will be sealed and placed under Galactic Conquered protection. After the call ended, Maya stared at the temple entrance in the distance. 3 years of work, and now she was being ordered to abandon it all because alien species were afraid of what humans might learn. We need to accelerate our research, she told her team. Focus all efforts on understanding the crystal. We have 2 days to learn as much as possible. The team worked around the clock, scanners and analyzers running continuously as they tried to decipher the crystal's properties. On the final night before their forced departure, Maya found herself alone in the central chamber, staring at the pulsing crystal. What are they so afraid of? She whispered, approaching the pedestal. As if in response, the crystal's pulsing intensified. Maya reached out, her scientific training momentarily overwhelmed by an almost instinctual need to touch the artifact. The moment her fingers made contact, a surge of energy flowed through her body. The crystal's light expanded, enveloping her completely. Maya felt her consciousness expanding, connecting with something vast and ancient that had waited for this moment. When the light receded, Maya stood unharmed but fundamentally changed. Knowledge flooded her mind, not just information, but understanding that transcended human language. The precursors hadn't gone extinct. They had evolved beyond physical form. The crystal wasn't a tool or a weapon. It was a key designed to identify species with the cognitive flexibility to comprehend the precursor's legacy. Maya understood now why the other species feared this discovery. The precursors had left their knowledge for whoever could comprehend it without bias or limitation. The established galactic species had failed this test, their rigid cognitive frameworks unable to adapt to the precursor's fluid consciousness. But humans, with their contradictory nature, simultaneously destructive and creative, selfish and altruistic, possessed the cognitive flexibility the precursors sought. Maya sensed the presence of other artifacts scattered throughout the galaxy, waiting to connect with human consciousness. When her team found her the next morning, Maya was calmly downloading massive amounts of data from the temple's previously invisible interfaces. Maya, what happened? Thomas asked, staring at the streams of incomprehensible information. She turned to him, her eyes now containing subtle flecks of the same crystalline structure as the artifact. I know what the precursors wanted us to find, she said calmly, and I know why everyone else is afraid of us discovering it. As the extraction ships descended from orbit, Maya knew that humanity's place in the galaxy had just fundamentally changed. The real challenge would begin when the other species realized that what they had feared most had already come to pass. Human beings had inherited the legacy of the most powerful civilization the galaxy had ever known. The awakening. The journey back to Earth was tense. Maya's transformation hadn't gone unnoticed, and she was immediately placed under observation upon the research vessel's departure from Proxima Centauri. Even the crystal artifact, sealed in a quantum containment field, pulsed in perfect synchronization with her heartbeat, despite being stored in the ship's most secure vault. Your neural activity is unprecedented, Dr. Alara Kim, the ship's chief medical officer, said as she reviewed Maya's scans. There are structures forming in your cerebral cortex that don't match any known human brain patterns. Maya nodded calmly. The precursors designed the interface to adapt the host physiology. My brain is restructuring to accommodate the information transfer. Information transfer? Alara asked, concern evident in her voice. Maya, are you saying this thing is downloading into your mind? Not exactly, Maya replied, struggling to translate her new understanding into human concepts. It's more like it's teaching my mind to perceive reality as the precursors did. Their consciousness existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Before Alara could respond, the ship's captain appeared at the medical bay entrance, his expression grim. "We've received a transmission from Earth. A coalition fleet of alien vessels has taken up position around our solar system. They're demanding we surrender Dr. Rivera and the artifact upon arrival." Maya closed her eyes, accessing the new awareness that stretched beyond her physical form. She could sense the fear radiating from the alien fleet, not just fear of what humans might do with precursor technology, but deeper existential terror about what the precursors themselves had discovered. "They're afraid because they don't understand," she said softly. The precursors weren't destroyed or extinct. They evolved into something beyond physical form, and they left the keys to their evolution for species capable of following them. "That doesn't explain why 7 advanced civilizations are threatening war over one human and a crystal," the captain replied tersely. Maya opened her eyes, which now shimmered with an inner light. "Because the Sentinels and the others have found these artifacts before, but they couldn't interface with them. Their minds were too rigid, too specialized. Human consciousness, with all its contradictions and adaptability, is what the precursors were waiting for." As their ship approached the edge of the solar system, they received the first ultimatum. The alien coalition had delivered their terms to Earth's government. Surrender Maya and the artifact, or face technological embargo and possible military action. To Maya's surprise, Earth's response was immediate and defiant. "We will not surrender our citizen or our scientific discoveries to threats. Dr. Rivera's research is protected under the Galactic Academic Freedom Accords, which all your governments have signed." The alien coalition responded by activating a previously unknown technology, a field that disabled most advanced human propulsion and weapons systems throughout the solar system. Earth's defenses, impressive as they were for a relatively new space-faring species, were suddenly rendered nearly useless. "They're forcing our hand," the captain said, watching as alien vessels began systematic movement toward Earth. "Without our defense grid, they'll be able to extract you with minimal resistance." Maya stood, a plan forming in her evolved mind. "Take me to the artifact." In the secure vault, Maya placed her hands on the containment field housing the crystal. With her new understanding, the quantum barriers were as transparent as glass. The moment she touched the crystal again, energy surged through the ship systems, temporarily overriding the alien suppression field. "I need to broadcast," she told the captain, to every receiver on Earth and throughout the system. When the communication systems came online, Maya spoke not just with her voice but with her transformed consciousness, reaching out to every human mind receptive to her message. "People of Earth, what we've discovered isn't a weapon or a tool of destruction. The precursors evolved beyond physical form billions of years ago. But before they did, they created a network of artifacts, keys to understanding higher dimensional physics and consciousness itself." As she spoke, the alien coalition ships approached Earth, weapons charged. "The established galactic species fear us because they encountered these artifacts before and failed to unlock them. Their minds had evolved for stability, for cognitive consistency. But human consciousness evolved differently. We thrive on contradictions, on questioning our assumptions, on reimagining reality itself." Across Earth, other artifacts that had been discovered and dismissed as curiosities began to activate in response to Maya's broadcast. Museums, university research labs, and private collections reported crystalline objects suddenly pulsing with light. The precursors left their legacy not for the most technologically advanced species, but for those with the cognitive flexibility to comprehend existence beyond three-dimensional space and linear time. "They're not giving us weapons to dominate others. They're offering us understanding that transcends conflict itself." The alien coalition ships suddenly halted their advance. Their sensors had detected the simultaneous activation of dozens of precursor artifacts across Earth, a planetary scale awakening that their ancient records had warned about, but dismissed as impossible. Maya felt her consciousness expanding, further connecting with other humans who had touched awakened artifacts. Together, they formed a network of understanding that transcended individual limitations. "We don't need to fight you," Maya broadcast to the alien fleet. "What the precursors discovered wasn't a means of destruction, but a path to transcendence. Your civilizations have achieved technological marvels, but you've evolved towards stability rather than adaptability. Humans can bridge that gap. We can translate precursor knowledge into forms your consciousness can comprehend. The Coalition flagship, the Sentinel leader received a direct mental transmission from Maya, a glimpse of the precursor understanding that had previously been inaccessible to their crystalline minds. For the first time in their evolutionary history, a Sentinel experienced cognitive uncertainty, and with it, the possibility of growth beyond their predetermined limits. One by one, the alien vessels powered down their weapons. The Coalition representatives requested direct communication with Maya and Earth's leaders. 6 months later, the Galactic Concordat was rewritten. Human representatives, led by Maya, established the Precursor Knowledge Exchange, a neutral institution dedicated to studying the artifacts and sharing adaptable versions of their insights with all sentient species. The humans didn't weaponize the Precursor legacy, as the aliens had feared. Instead, they became translators and teachers, their adaptable minds serving as bridges between ancient multidimensional wisdom and the specialized intelligences of the established galactic community. Maya, now leading the Earth-based Precursor Research Institute, stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Harmony Station in Earth orbit. Representatives from 27 species had gathered for the opening of this collaborative research facility. The Sentinel representative approached her, their crystalline form now containing subtle new facets that reflected their evolving understanding. "We were wrong to fear what we did not understand," they said. Their translator was now unnecessary as they communicated directly through the precursor connection. "For eons, we believed that the stability of our consciousness was our greatest strength. Now we comprehend that it was also our limitation." Maya smiled, her eyes shimmering with the same crystalline depth that now appeared in certain humans who worked closely with the artifacts. "That's the greatest gift the precursors left us, not knowledge itself, but the understanding that evolution never stops, even for civilizations billions of years old." They spoke. Another research vessel returned from a distant star system, carrying newly discovered artifacts and eager human explorers ready to unlock their secrets. The galaxy was changing, not through conflict, as the aliens had feared, but through understanding that transcended the limitations of any single species. Humanity had found its place in the cosmic order, not as conquerors or subjects, but as the unexpected bridge between what was and what could be.